Had this cool realization this morning that I don't think I've ever seen so clearly. So have a listen and see which of these resonates most for you so you can start to spot it more in your experience. So this month in the Enlightenment event, we're in psychological enlightenment. So we're talking about thoughts and thinking. And it's raised into my awareness this possibility of there being two ways that we use our thought or thinking system really truly to avoid something else, and which therefore guarantees our suffering. So these two possible ways we use our thoughts or thinking are either one, to go into a full creative narrative story about a situation, whether it's right here, right now, or whether it's recalling something from a past, or whether it's imagining how it's going to be in the future. But there's this whole scenario gets played out, and it's as though it's all happening right now, and we feel it all, and we're just lost in the moment of that experience. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that there's an inkling of something scary in our thinking system. There's an inkling of a scary thought, and that very quickly a lid gets put on it in a kind of keep calm and carry on. No, 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 nothing to see here. Just keep working, keep doing, keep whatever it is, keep on the straight and narrow. Do not open the lid on that kind of worms. And I'd not seen it so clearly before, that there are these two possible ways that we use thought to avoid something more deep. The more deep stuff we'll probably come on to later, because that's very much about what we're going to be doing through April and May with emotional and physical enlightenment. But right now, I want you to just consider and contemplate which of these routes is most familiar to you. And at this point, I want to really acknowledge the member of the Enlightenment event who posted a post this morning, including words from Richard Carlson, which Michael Neal had very kindly brought to her inbox. And in her posting that, led me to have this realization of my experience of how I would used to use thought, and how there are these kind of two distinct ways that happens. And for me, my predominant way has been this second one that I talked about. My way has been to use thought as a way to cover over another scary thought. So one of my greatest fears that I've come to see is of being a failure, of being wrong, of being useless. And in the avoidance of that, I've taken on, so do lots of stuff and do lots of stuff really well, so that you can prove that you're not wrong, you're not bad, you're not terrible, you're not a failure. And so if ever I was in a situation when, let's say, a client had given me some feedback, or I'd made a mistake, something had happened which prompted this fear, like, oh my God, they're going to see I'm wrong, they're going to see I'm bad, they're going to see I'm a failure, which would feel awful. And so quickly a thought would come in saying, I'm not a failure, I'm okay, I can do this. None of which felt good, but which was like, seemed like a necessary lid to put on this situation. An absence of engaging with it, but very much in this avoidance, very much in this, yeah, no, 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 don't look there. Do not look there. Nothing to see there. We'll just cover it over with this thought of, no, 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 it's all good. It's all fine. It's all handled. We've got it all covered. Keep calm, carry on. And do not worry. It's all okay. So this lid would be put over the top of whatever it was that had reared its head from the deeper depths of my being. No, we're all good. It's all fine. It's all fine. No, no, no. Smiley faces, carry on. Nothing to see. And so in that experience, because whatever was going on hadn't been acknowledged, and because there was some form of resistance to it, already we're in experience of suffering. But even more than that, what I came to see later on my journey was how that lid couldn't be kept on. And actually, the place where the lid came off was at home with my kids. So professional face dropped, professional mask dropped, effort dropped, lid off, and whatever had been there, suppressed, would come out at my kids. So it would be them who experienced frustration and my irritability, my short-temperedness, because with them, there wasn't the effort. I wasn't making the effort to keep the lid on to avoid whatever it was that had been felt earlier. So they got it. They received the brunt of it. And so they suffered and I suffered in all of that. All because thought was being used as a way to avoid something that felt impossible to feel, and a scary thought that I'm a failure, that I'm wrong, could not be seen at that point. So anything to avoid that, which in my experience was put this lid on of, no, 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 it's good, I'm all good, I've got it all handled, I'm capable. Didn't work, did not work. So the other way we use thought is by getting entirely lost in it. So this might be you if you feel like you worry a lot, like you overthink a lot, like you analyze or um yeah, get lost in scenarios that aren't actually happening. And so this is where something has happened. It's triggered that same fear response, may well be rooted in I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm not acceptable, I'm not lovable, whatever the base narrative is that we're carrying. And then that gets brought into this current experience. And now the mind goes to town, making up connections and making up stories, bringing in the past, projecting a future, creating a whole play in the mind, a whole scenario playing out in the mind of how this is going to go, what it's going to be like, how this is going to go wrong and that's going to go wrong, and oh, watch out for that because that could happen, and all of the possibilities, all the possible dangers brought to life in that moment. Or it could be that that feeling provoked a memory of something in the past, and this is what the post was talking about, which the member of the group shared, which was, you know, that provokes a memory of this person who you fell out with, who you disagreed with, who there was something yucky around in that relationship, and now suddenly you're lost back in all that story and that scenario of that relationship at that time, bringing back to life all the feeling, all the emotion, all the challenge, all the difficulty with it, as though it's playing on the movie screen right now in front of you. And so it's all felt, it's all re-experienced as though it's happening now. And so that's the other way we can use thought that, again, guarantees our suffering, by getting so lost in the narrative of it, by believing that whatever's coming up right now is true and following the storyline, next bit, next bit, next bit. Oh my God, and then this, and then that could happen, and and feeling it all. So it's like this version goes into the whole play of thoughts and feelings, perhaps mental images of the whole situation, as though it's happening right now. And still, in fact, all in the avoidance of something else beneath the surface, something deeper that perhaps in a much more fundamental way is saying you're not good enough, you're not capable enough, you're not lovable enough, you're not acceptable enough, you're not good enough, whatever that is. It's being avoided, and being avoided by playing out this big scenario. Both of these, as though that's going to help. In both circumstances, as though that's going to help. Worrying about something or reenacting something from the past does not help solve anything, does not change anything. It simply creates a yucky experience in the system, yucky feelings, and probably a reaction with somebody in the world in some way when it was really nothing to do with them. It was to do with the movie that you were creating in your mind and that you were getting so lost in. But equally, the other side as well, when we're putting this thought lid on things and going, no, 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 it's all good, carry on, that doesn't work either. That doesn't solve the deeper challenge. That doesn't solve the deeper fear. It just keeps us in avoidance. And as I said with my kids, we also can't maintain that. So at some point, the lid comes off and the stuff comes out. And again, somebody in the outside world is on the receiving end of our misuse of our thinking, our use of thinking and thought in these two different ways to avoid a much deeper fear, which, as far as I can see, is a universal human fear that we've all collected. It's not true of any of us, but we've all collected these various fears of not capable, not good enough, not lovable enough, not acceptable enough, not anything enough. There's always something. There's something that the system has picked up. We're wrong, we're bad. Yeah, there's something there for all of us, which is then driving this use of thought one way or the other to avoid looking at this because this looks too terrifying. So which is your way? Which do you recognize as your way? Are you the kind like me who puts the thought, or I say puts, I used to put, thank goodness it's not it's not the way now. And I've had recent experience to really show the difference that's available in that not being the way now. But we're not going to talk about that today. For now, just recognizing the fact that, is this you? Are you the person who puts the lid on stuff? Do you put this thought lid on that says, no, it's good, I'm capable, I've got it all handled, it's all okay, got it under control? Or are you the one who gets totally lost in the scenario and caught up in past, future stories and possibilities and playing it all out, so not present with the world, totally present with his inner world, which then means that in some way you react to the outer. And over here we react to the outer because that lid just is impossible to keep on sufficiently all the time. Kids are great at helping us take the lid off to be, yeah, to acknowledge them and their role for us. You will have somebody in your life, whether you have kids or not, you'll have somebody in your life who's great at being the one that helps you take that lid off and for all the stuff to come out so that you realize that that's what you're doing. It's all good. It's all good. So notice with both of these, yeah, you're suffering. Notice with whichever one you're picking, you're suffering. And that suffering is the gift. It is the gift for you to come back down into the system through that thinking system, the psychological enlightenment that we're working on just now in the Enlightenment Event, so that you can get down into the emotional system and the physical system, which is what we're going to be moving through into in April and May. So these beautiful doorways, the lid or the lost in story, they're both perfect doorways for you to come back down, down, down with love back into all of your system. For today, though, just notice which one of these is you, which one is your predominant way of avoiding those deeper fears, which is your predominant way of using thought to try and escape, to try and avoid whatever's lurking under the surface. And a desperate attempt, a desperate, innocent attempt to try and not look at and be with the possibility of being wrong or bad or a failure or incapable or inadequate or unacceptable or hopeless or helpless. In all innocence, we've tried to avoid those. And all that's happened is a mind has got involved and been super creative in these two different ways to try and help us, innocently to try and help us to not look there. But oh my goodness, the only way is to see this and to follow its doorway, opening doorway, to bring us back down into that connection. So which is it for you? Which is your favorite route? Which is your go-to modus operandi for avoiding an experience? Are you a lid covering over person, or are you a get lost in the story person? I hope this has been helpful and insightful for you to see something fresh about your experience. It was so valuable for me to have this clarity from thanks to this member posting this post. I'd never seen it so clearly before, so I hope this has made it super clear for you too. Lots of love. See you soon.